Howdy, guys. Super sorry for being a little bit late, but I just got out of the shower. I am now ready to roll. And this video is massive because it tells us exactly where President Biden is going. And what do I mean by going? The group that which is most desired by these presidential candidates, presidents, whether it's Bush, Trump, Obama, Biden, etc., would be the Social Security crowd. Now, here's the deal about the Social Security crowd. It's a massive amount of voters. Millions upon millions of voters. So what happened today? From the Social Security website, Biden released specifically what his plan is to go ahead and do to please the Social Security recipients. We're going to be going through it right now, word for word, so you know exactly what's happening. And this was released today, March 9th, 2023. Basically, this was released on the Social Security Administration's website via the commissioner of the SSA, Kilolo Kijakazi. Let's get right into it. Here we go. Statement by Kilolo Kijakazi, acting commissioner of the Social Security Administration on the president's fiscal year 2024 budget. Now, remember, I was always talking about and complaining about how President Biden did not include, in his, future plans, the budget. Because remember, the purse strings define what benefits you're going to get. Do the purse strings open? Do they close? So this is where we're getting into the budget about Social Security benefit increases and the longevity of them. All right, here we go. The Biden-Harris administration today released the president's budget for fiscal year 2024. The budget details a blueprint to grow the economy from the bottom up and middle out, lower costs for families, protect and strengthen Medicare and Social Security, and reduce the deficit by ensuring the wealthy and big corporations pay their fair share. Okay, now that's been a very Democrat-oriented phrasing, their fair share. Continuation, all while ensuring no one making less than $400,000 per year pays more in taxes. Karen McDonald, thank you for the $1.99 donation. Thank you. Very cool. So here's the deal of what you need to know about this. They are shooting for what's called the FICA Cap. FICA Cap is the FICA tax. Everybody who pays, and works and earns money, right? So this is not investment income. This is like earned money income. So like people trying to become wealthy in the future are going to be hugely screwed over by this tax. But people who are already super rich, who enjoy being part of that special little club of the super wealthy, who have massive investments, they're pretty safe from a lot of this stuff. So, but nonetheless, let's get into it. Our program affects individuals throughout their lives, from birth to entering the workforce, to facing a disability or loss, and to retirement. The broad and critical nature of our programs drives our request for the resources necessary to improve our service to the public. It's a word salad. It is written by politicians. It was just, in my opinion, a blur of fanciful executive summary phrasing. That's all that was. Again, our programs affect individuals through their lives, from birth to entering the workforce. It's like a Hollywood entrance film, like it's scrolling down the screen, to facing a disability or loss, and to retirement. The broad and critical nature of our programs drives our request for the resources necessary to improve our services to the public. The president's fiscal year 2024 budget request for the Social Security Administration, it proposes $15.5 billion in discretionary budget authority. $15.5 billion. Okay, the budget will. Here's the bullet points. Here's where they give it down. Deborah Mortazavi, I hope I pronounced that right. Hope I pronounced that right. $1.49. I really appreciate the donation. Thank you both of you, Karen and Deborah. I really appreciate it. That's awesome. So here's what he's saying. He wants to improve service delivery. Okay. The budget provides an increase of $1.4 billion, a 10% increase over our fiscal year 2023 enacted level to improve customer service at our field offices. Now, he hit it on the head. A lot of people are angry with the Social Security Administration because getting a hold of anybody at the local field offices is like mission impossible. Okay, it's so difficult. It takes anywhere from 15 to 60 minutes, usually around 45 minutes, I would say, to get a hold of somebody at the local field office on the phone for the busier stations. The not so busy stations, easy to get people on the phone. But like Orlando, oh, God, give me a break. All right, so that's good. 10% increase. Now remember, $1.4 billion increase. Now 2022 was a big bump. 2023 was a big bump. 2024, we're getting a lot of bumps towards the Social Security Administration. So this is good. This is very good. Biden is doing well with this, okay? If it sticks. Enacted law. Okay, so state disability determination services. So now they're going to talk about DDS, the group that adjudicates your claim at initial filing and reconsideration. State disability determination services and teleservice centers for retirees, people with the disabilities and their families, while maintaining the integrity of our programs. All right, so they're going to basically give a 10% increase to the little people of the Social Security Administration. That's your local field offices. That's your DDS groups. Okay, so you expect a 10% increase over the fiscal year 2023 budget towards the little people of the SSA. And when I say the little people, I don't mean it in a derogatory fashion. I mean it as like, they are like, lowest on the totem pole when it comes to other groups. Like you've got, OHO, Office of Hearing Operations, OIG, Office of Inspector General. There's all these other groups that are over that particular group. So maybe, and that's not even realistic too, because they're not really the little people, because they're a massive amount of people. Like you need tons and tons of people to do the field offices. But you notice they didn't say the regional offices here. They didn't say, well, maybe they did, because I guess if you could say, let's see, fiscal year next, to our field offices, maybe they mean the regional field offices as well, which is the next step up from the field offices. Like if you can't get something fixed at the local field office, you reach out to the regional office. Maybe they mean the regional field offices as well. I don't know. All right, next one. Okay. Each year, we process more than 6 million retirement survivors and Medicare claims and more than 2 million disability and SSI claims. The budget supports increased staffing levels from fiscal year 2023, allowing us to process about 500,000 more disability cases in fiscal year 2024 than we completed in fiscal year 2022, and significantly reduce wait times for those decisions. Now, let me tell you what's going on. One of the major problems that President Trump faced was that he put in a commissioner who was a tight, aggressive business, like literally mall business. He had a mall business called Cachet. That was his main thing. But a tight, make it more efficient, make it more efficient, make it more efficient business type, And the problem inherent with that was that at the end of the day, there was an issue. People couldn't get a hold of the field offices, but we didn't have that COVID stuff. So there wasn't this massive backlog. So they were able to kind of more chip away and make the agency more efficient and more efficient and more efficient. Then they changed the rules. And the big rule change was essentially how they looked at evidence and the weight of the evidence, and whether the weight of your physicians would be worth more than the weight of these CE physicians that you see for hardly any time at all. And that cut down massively on appeals council claims. And as a result of that, the SSA saved a massive amount of money. But every disability attorney and every claimant who knew what was going on, which was a small amount of claimants because you guys just don't know, were super unhappy. Deep-seated hatred unhappy about that rule change because it took away your rights. That's what it was. It changed the rule. It didn't make any sense, and it took away your rights. Now, as a result of that, it significantly cut down on the amount of claims that made it to appeals council, so they didn't have to hire more people. They didn't have to do more stuff, right? Because they were like, you know what? We're going to restrict the rights of the American people and their ability to get disability benefits, which will make us save a lot of money. And then ultimately, we'll go ahead and pass that on by just, retaining the people we already have and not needing additional budget. That was the Republican model with Commissioner Saul. That was it. You can fight me on it, but if you just look up the history of it, Commissioner Saul, evidence rule, weight of evidence, appeals council, just read about it. Just learn about it. You'll be like, oh, wow, this is not good. Now you've got the other side of things, which is that they should have changed the rule back, but they didn't. They kept it into Commissioner Kijikazi's commission by and through Biden. Now, with that said, there's a lot of overflow, a lot of massive amount of claimants applying right now. So they got to mass fund these local field offices. Last year's budget, well, I guess it would be technically this year, they mass funded OHO to hire a massive amount of Social Security Disability Administrative Law judges. It was an expedited version of what they normally do to hire these judges. I applied for it, if you remember, but I didn't get to a chance to apply online. I had to apply in paper form, which they were not looking for. But the bottom line is, at the end of the day, okay, that was, they're building the system where they need people first and foremost. All right, cool. Next one. All right, so the budget supports increased staffing levels from fiscal year 2023, allowing us to process about 500,000 more disability cases in fiscal year 2024 than we completed in fiscal year 2022, and significantly reduce wait times for those decisions. So what President Biden, by and through Commissioner Kijikazi, is saying in that sentence is that we intend, right? That's what he's saying here. We intend to wipe out the COVID massive overflow of applicants that applied and haven't been processed. That's what he's saying here. I'll read it to you again. The budget supports increased staffing levels from fiscal year 2023, allowing us to process about 500,000 more disability cases in fiscal year 2024. So that 500,000 people, right? There was a chunk of people that applied during COVID. The SSA shut down in partial and in total during a different amount of time. And those claims built up and built up and built up and built up. And as a result of that, that massive building up and building up and building up, the wait times for an initial filing went from 3 to 6 months out to about 9 to 14 months, right? Nobody's happy with the wait times. Everybody's frowny face. Everybody's saddy face. Everybody's unhappy face. Okay, cool. We get it. We get it. So as a result of that, bottom line is that he's saying he's going to mass fund it and he's going to wipe out the wait times so that they're back to normal wait times. Okay, cool. That's a good on you. If President Biden can make that happen for Commissioner Kijikazi at the SSA, then that would be the largest, most major accomplishment of his presidency concerning the Social Security Administration. Okay, it would be a very good thing. Advanced equity and accessibility. We are one of the most important anti-poverty programs in the country. We remain committed to administering our programs in a way that promotes equity and fairness. We're making it easier for people to access the service they rely on, including individuals experiencing homelessness, children with disabilities, and people with mental and intellectual disabilities. The budget makes investments in these areas to support SSI outreach work, including collaboration with government agencies and other third-party organizations in local communities to provide convenient access to our services and ensure members of the public are aware of their potential benefit eligibility. All right, the main thing that they've been doing, just so you guys know, over the past year and a half, is they've been reaching out to Native groups. Native American is what most people think of, and that is like the main thing that they've been reaching out to, but it's actually beyond that. It's most Native groups. Because we don't just have Native Americans in this country, we have many other Native groups, including the possessions of the U.S. when it comes to, this little island here, that little island there, etc. So they've been reaching out specifically and significantly. Now, with that said, Native Americans, significant, massive, high percentage of those individuals are essentially on SSI, Supplemental Security Income Benefits. In addition to that, just so you know, they also have a significantly lower lifespan. Like the timeline of how long those individuals live, Native Americans, is much shorter than other groups of individuals. There are certain groups of individuals who live longer and therefore get the most benefit of Social Security benefits. Unfortunately, our Native Americans do not get to access that. Okay. So they've already been doing this. It's already been happening, but he's going to continue to fund that. All right, next one. We are also committed to enhancing the diversity and richness of our workforce to strengthen and maintain an inclusive work environment that values individual differences and treats employees with dignity and respect, thereby enriching our current workforce, which is driven by our public service mission. Now, here's right off the bat. When I read a statement like this, my hair stands up straight. I get angry because my entire life, I have essentially not been what they wanted. When I got out of law school and I went to the fancy firms that are at the top of the bank buildings in the middle of downtown, they wanted females that were non-white. And I was not a female and I am white. So they didn't want me. Even after I was doing my internships in disability land, right? When I was doing those, they wanted individuals, that could basically fit a particular, and remember, there's tax benefits to it too, to not hire someone like me. So as a result of that, I went and, started my own firm. And so the bottom line here at the end of the day is that whenever I see this stuff, I think it's very misguided, incredibly misguided right off the bat. I understand that we want diversity, but not hiring people because they're this color or this gender is not okay to me. They should have a fair shot just like everybody else, because the evolution of where we're at now is that people have had access to academia, people have had access to funds. And let me tell you something. When I went to school, they would not give me a lot of the scholarships that existed because essentially I was not the fish they were looking to catch. And at the end of the day, I paid full boat to go to most of the schools that I went to, almost all the schools I went to. And as a result of that, when I got out, my student loans, look, I have a friend who, a similar academia background, things like that. He had around $220,000-ish of student loans by the end of it. I had $500,000 in student loans by the end of it. So as a result of that, when I see these statements, and I'll read it to you again, we are also committed to enhancing the diversity and richness of our workforce to strengthen and maintain an inclusive work environment that values individual differences and treats employees with dignity and respect. That sounds cute, but what this means in America, like if this were like from a paragraph from like some other country, it'd be like, we're looking for people from other countries with different education backgrounds and some people that are different race, different gender, etc. But in America, we are very like race oriented. Like when we think about diversity, our brains are like, oh, it must mean race. And in America, that's what it realistically means at the end of the day. So I think we need to change our culture in how we look at what diversity is supposed to mean. I do think we need diversity, but in America, we're just bright light, right on race. And it's not good. It's not good. We have to work on it as a culture. And in fact, we're not going to get there. We're not going to get there until we get a few more generations down the line and people start to realize how poorly the prior generations, those in their 40s and 50s and 60s, mostly 50s, 60s, 70s right now, screwed it up. But that's okay. My generation will come in. We'll work on it. Some people will be like, yeah, right. Sure, you're going to. We will, because we've learned from those who are in their 50s, 60s, and 70s as to what they did wrong. We got it. We've learned from you. It didn't take a ton of time, but we got to see it. We had an example of what was done wrong. Now we move forward. That's how it works. We stand on your shoulders. That's how it works. This budget continues our efforts to hire and promote the nation's best talent and build a diverse and representative workforce and ensure that all employees have equal opportunities to advance in their chosen careers. We'll see what happens. They have a whole system of racial education. And I even emailed the Social Security Administration. I was like, hey, can I see what your training platform is for that? And I got an email back and they said, no, our training experience about racial equality and things like that and racial things is an internal document, which to me says, first and foremost, no, it's not. You cannot have a training document that we cannot see. That's the bottom line. We deserve to see every training document that you create. So I was really pissed when that happened. I need to follow up on that and get the real deal on that. Next one, modernize our information technology. The budget continues investment in our information technology. Okay, cool. This is good. The SSA is known for having tech that is behind the ball, although they've caught up significantly over the past 5 years. To reduce the burden on the public, modernize our website and online services, and provide an improved customer experience. So, okay, the online services thing, they really need to build an app so that you can log into it, so that you have access, because, they already have one to report earnings. They can do that for your My Social Security information. That's the future. I mean, sure, having a website, you got to have a website, you got to be able to log in, so you got to have those options, but they need to build an app. Okay. To accelerate our progress, the budget includes $50 million in dedicated no-year funding for our benefit modernization efforts. Our benefits modernization efforts will provide our employees with better technology tools to determine eligibility and process claims in order to better serve the public. So they're throwing $50 million at the problem. The Benefits Modernization Project is an addition to the efforts we are taking to sustain our systems. Okay, so they didn't really give us any information as to where they're going with this. One of the problems with these documents, and keep in mind, this was written it says it's by Commissioner Kijikazi, but let's be honest here. There's a lot of people who are part of this writing, okay? It's an excellent document, but they're executive summaries and they don't really tell you anything. Like if we summarize that paragraph, modernize our information technology, we're going to throw $50 million at modernizing our information technology. That was the summary. That was the whole thing there. They didn't tell us anything we don't already know. They just told us they're throwing $50 million at the problem on top of the money they've already put towards it and will continue to put towards it. So if it were me, I would have written it a little differently. All right, next one. Provides national comprehension. Just to go back. If I were to have written it differently, I would have specifically explained what programs they're working on that they intend to fund with more money. I wouldn't have just said, hey, we're going to go ahead and do better technology tools and work on the website and modernize our website, online services. And I wouldn't have done that. I would have said, here are the products that we're going to make. Like if you made this in the private industry, you know what I mean? Like, if Apple computers or Google computers or, whatever came out with this, that would have been a fail. That would have been a fail. This did not tell me what products I should expect from them in the upcoming years. Like the Social Security Administration should be held to the same standards as the private industries when it comes to releasing products. It shouldn't just be a secret. Like, oh, wow, they got it done. I guess that 50 million went pretty far. No, that's not acceptable. And that's one of the things we have to hold our government more accountable to, which is essentially what products are you producing to make our experience better, thereby raising our standard of living. Next one, provides national, comprehensive, paid family and medical leave. Now, President Biden spent a lot of time on specifically, putting this in his pre-White House website, which I was very appreciative of. I think that there's a lot of need for this. I'm somebody who never takes any vacation time. I do not have a girlfriend or a wife or kids as a result. I have two adorable chubby dogs. One of them sleeping on the green screen right now. And I got to tell you, the problem with companies, owning companies, having businesses, etc., is that there's no way to pay for, no way to. Now, I realize this is mostly for employees, because when it comes to employers, people are like, screw those guys. They must have money, unless, of course, they don't make lots of money in a field for the disabled that usually deals with the homeless and the low income. Then you just don't make that much. All right, here we go. Provides national comprehensive paid family and medical leave. The vast majority of American workers do not have access to paid family leave, including 3 out of 4 private sector workers. Among the lowest paid workers, who are predominantly women and workers of color, 92% have no access to paid family leave through their employers. As many as 1 in 5 retirees leave the workforce earlier than planned to take care of an ill family member. That's especially true for women. Women get screwed on that deal. They just don't do well. Females usually take care of the elderly parents, and we need to have a system that turns them into basically paid healthcare providers for their parents, okay? Which negatively impacts families as well as the nation's labor supply and productivity. Yes, President Biden with his pre-White House website, President Biden now coming out with this. And remember, it's all about getting the votes for 2024 to 2025 presidential second term. But he's right. He's right on this one. We need to have something like this. The budget proposes to establish a national comprehensive paid family and medical leave program administered by the SSA. Now, remember, the VA has one of those. The SSA, for the civilians, does not have one of those. The program would provide workers with progressive partial wage replacement to take. Okay, so you hear that? Partial wage replacement. What does that mean? What are they doing there? All right, so the program would provide workers with progressive. Okay, that could be an okay word here. Partial wage, oh, here we go, replacement, to take time off for family and medical reasons. So they're not going to give them a full wage. They might give them a little bit of wage. Here's some pennies. That's what might happen here. Hopefully we can get that brought up to dollars, All right, provide workers with progressive partial wage replacement to take time off for family and medical reasons. Include robust administrative funding and use an inclusive family definition. Okay, so right there. Good job, Commissioner Kijikazi, on that one. All right, I want to point something out. In law, there is usually a massive battle over defining what a family is, or how to define who is included in a family. And this is important because the problem is, in law, we tend to try and define family as a larger group than just like that person was born from that person and therefore they are a family member. That's not how families work. So I'm very pleased to hear that and use an inclusive family definition. That usually means that it's not going to be this extra tiny definition of essentially what a family is, because that doesn't work. That just doesn't work. Inclusive can mean like just only this group, but usually when they use it in this sense, they don't mean like you have to be born of and have lived with and have honored them in the great chapel. It's not like that. It's just not. Okay, the budget would provide up to 12 weeks of leave to allow eligible workers to take time off to care for and bond with a new child. Whoa. The budget would provide up to 12 weeks of leave to allow eligible workers to take time off to care for and bond with a new child, care for a seriously ill loved one, heal from their own serious illness, address circumstances arising from a loved one's military deployment, or find safety from domestic violence, sexual assault, or stalking. The budget would also provide up to 3 days to grieve the death of a loved one. I mean, that's not bad. I got to say, that's pretty luxurious. I mean, 12 weeks. I mean, from a having birth standpoint, that's not a lot of time, but 3 days where you're covered. if something happens. When I lost Layla, for 4 days, I didn't take any calls. And in fact, I'll tell you this, there was one individual, I can't say her name, at the local Orlando hearing office. She called me like a week before her death happened. She's like, you're always so nice on the phone. And amazingly, after 4 days of not speaking with anyone at the SSA, after that happened, I get one call. I decide to take it. I pick it up. It's the hearing office, and it's her. And it's just, life works in mysterious ways. It really does. But anyway, so that's interesting. Budget would also provide up to 3 days to grieve the death of a loved one. The administration looks forward to continuing to work with the Congress to make this critical investment and strengthen America's economy. So what they're saying is, obviously, the budget has not been completely approved and yada, yada, but this is what they're shooting for. Building on the president's strong record of fiscal responsibility. Oh, here we go. We're going to fluff it up with, fluffery and clouds. The budget more than fully pays for its investments, reducing deficits by nearly $3 trillion over the next decade by asking the wealthy and big corporations to pay their fair share. Now, here's what I want to know. And remember, I've warned you all about this multiple times. Some of you don't listen. I've warned you about this multiple times. All right. Here's what I'm worried about. He mentions at the beginning, Commissioner Kijikazi mentions at the very beginning of this, the $400,000 thing. Now, we all know when it comes to the FICA taxes, everybody making $0 to, I think it's like 160,200? I think that's what it is. 160,200 gets taxed 12.4, right? If you work with an employer, you get in the 6.2. You pay taxes, your employer pays 6.2 taxes, 12.4 total. If you're self-employed, you pay the full 12.4 on whatever income you're making, from working. Okay. And then in between that 160,200 to 400,000, there's the people here, they don't get charged. But the 400,000 and up dollar earners, they get charged the FICA tax again. What I'm very worried about with this document. Remember, this document only came out right now because there was that secret private meeting with President Biden and Senator Bernie Sanders, right? We know that happened not too long ago. It was finally released out into the waves. Now we know. But the bottom line is, as a result of that, this document is being produced now by the Commissioner of the Social Security Administration. Did you hear me say in this document anything about the Social Security Administration being able to fund itself for the next 75 years? No, you did not. You didn't hear me say anything at all. That was the whole article. That's where it ended. It ended right there. They have a little tag section and stuff like that. That was it. That was the whole article, which then makes you think that instead of making the program solvent for the next 75 years, he's going to use that extra money just to fund these other potential issues. Now, if that were the tactic on behalf of President Biden, it would be a short-term brilliant one. Let me explain why. It's brilliant. It's brilliant. Let me explain why. If he's not elected to be president of a second term, that means that his promises failed, right? And that means that he doesn't have to worry about it anymore. He doesn't have to worry about retirement into the future. He's done. He's done. That's the highest you can go. You're president, you're done, right? There are very few people who go from being president to then wanting to work a bunch of other stuff. Very few people. And I applaud those people because, life is a journey. Don't sit back, don't sit down, get to it. But the point is this. Nowhere in this article did it say, hey, we're going to use these FICA extra taxes to pay for essentially, the program's retirement benefit that is running out as of 2033, 2034. For the trust funds, right? You'll get a reduced amount. You won't get the full 100% of your retirement benefits in 2034. You'll get around 77 to 80, 81% of what you would normally get. So let me point something out real quick. What's happening here is that President Biden would be doing a brilliant thing because if he passes this and the budget goes through, he is mass funding women. He is mass funding basically people having an easier time getting through to the SSA. He is mass funding a program to educate people on how to take care of their parents and the elderly. He's creating essentially like a mini quasi nurse force. And those people are all going to vote for him. It's brilliant. So instead of making the program long-term solvent, he's mass funding a lot of jobs for people that can immediately tap into money and easier resources with the Social Security Administration, which means that he's made a lot of people happy and want to vote for him in 1 year. It's pretty brilliant as per, like, if this were a chess game with tactics, this would be some high level stuff right here. Now, with that said, unfortunately, this does nothing from what I've read from this, and hopefully it will with the ultimate bill that he really, I mean, did he fully, I still have to read through it. Okay, so the budget was that. I still have to read through what the full budget has. But the bottom line is I'm not hearing anything about fixing retirement over that next, essentially short period, 10, 11, 12, 13 years. So if he does that, and it's smart, what he will do is he will convince a lot of people and a lot of Social Security recipients to vote for him, but not actually fix the long-term problem, which is beyond his presidency, including his current semester and second semester anyways. These politicians, I gotta say, like, I'm impressed. I am impressed with how they play chess. I gotta, we all look back, we're like, I'm impressed. He's not fixing the real problem based off of this notification from the SSA, but he's hyper-funding individuals who are going to be more likely to vote for him for the second presidency cycle. I'm impressed. Impressed. So when will this so-called increase begin? It would be 2024. We'd get through 2023, and then 2024 would take place. Now, look, this article doesn't go through everything. I have to see what future writings will come out, and I have to read the budget myself, and I'll be able to tell you about different benefit increases. But what they're talking about here is essentially modernizing the technology, comprehensive paid family, medical leave, advanced equity and accessibility, improved service delivery. But what I'm not reading in here is the bare bones of benefit increases. It's like benefit increases, but they're not money increases. They're like other stuff increases, auxiliary increases. You can call somebody, get somebody faster. You can get found disabled faster increases. You can actually have a job to take care of your parents increases. But they're not traditional benefit increases. Now, you want my take on it? In order for Social Security benefits to succeed, we have to have a super strong economy, a super strong bond market, and we have to find a better way to invest the money that people pay in through their FICA taxes. Those are some of the pillars of this thing. Those are some of the pillars. These are all good. None of these are bad, except for the whole equity and diversity. They might screw up the system a little bit with that and create racism with that. And that's not the goal here. What I would like to see is essentially what part 2 of this is going to be. Once I read the budget, I will specifically deliver to you guys what their bigger plan is. Now, remember, I am closing and finalizing the stuff on this rental home, which is my future, because there's not going to be retirement. Like, for my generation, it's not going to be the same thing. It's going to be a crappier version. So the bottom line is I'm finishing that up April 2nd and going way, way out of my way to do the best that I can to make that happen. I haven't released videos about it yet because I haven't had time to edit them. Literally, I was late about 5 to 10 minutes just starting this video, even though we're starting early today because we normally start at 8, because essentially I had to get out of the shower. I had to take a shower, do a million things, yada, yada, yada. So, guys, I will catch up with you in the not too distant future. We have another video that I'm going to do that's going to be very short, and then we're going to do the video where basically I answer questions for people who call in and have questions about Social Security benefits, specifically disability benefits. But, people call with everything. All right. Yeah, I would say James Wheeler, the Robin Hood syndrome always sounds good, but never works. Yeah, there is a possibility that they cannot get this budget passed. As you guys know, some of these things, not in this way, ended up in some of the big bills that they passed a law, but they were first round cutouts. They were carved out first round. So, but still, this is good. It's the right direction. All right. I will catch you in the next video. The next video, just so you know, is essentially how nosy neighbors can go ahead and remove your Social Security disability benefits. It's something that I think is very important for you to know about. People don't realize that this is happening because they don't represent thousands of people. But I'm going to give you the walkthrough so that you understand what some of my clients have gone through, what other people have gone through. That way you have an understanding. So if it happens to you, you know why. All right. Also, I want to know your thoughts. Leave them in the comments. Let me know. Do you feel that any of these will actually pass through on the budget? I feel that some of them will, because he will push as hard as he can, because that 2025 date of being president for another 4 years, that's on the horizon. Let me tell you. Another thing, and I think this is important, guys, if you like these videos where I explain things, do reviews on them, study them, pass them on, please remember to leave a 5-star review. I'll put in the section over here, the chat section in the comments. And please remember to like and subscribe. I think that's really important. I know my videos, they're not as popular as people sometimes think they would be. Sometimes people are like, I'm surprised they're probably whatever. But we are the most viewed and subscribed to disability channel for a disability attorney in America, which I think is absolutely incredible. But please remember to like, subscribe, and leave 5-star reviews. I will catch you at the next video about the nosy neighbors. Thanks so much, guys. Bye-bye.